Welcome to the Lexy Show, fashion that gives a damn, where we expose fast fashion and celebrate the brands and products actually making a difference for our planet. I'm Lexi Silverstein, and today I'm talking with Christine Chang, the founder and creative director of REDTHRED, a social impact platform that unites humanity through fashion, culture, and storytelling. If you're new here, head to lexisilverstein.com for information on sustainable fashion and eco-conscious living. And if you love what you hear, subscribe and share this episode. It helps more than you think. Christine, welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for hopping on today and chatting. Let's start with the basics. What is Red Thread and what inspired you to create it?
So, Red Thread is a nonprofit that turns fashion into a force for connection and impact. So, we partner with creators who donate pieces from their personal wardrobe, and we transform those into storytelling driven campaigns that support causes that they care about. And it actually started with the name. There is this ancient proverb that says, an invisible red thread connects you to those you're destined to meet in life. It may stretch, it may tangle, and it will never break. And I encountered this name 3 times in a period of 1 week while I was attending fashion school. So I was like, okay, God, I get it. I'm paying attention. What am I supposed to do? The deeper root came from a moment when I was 17. I went on a missions trip to South Korea and we visited an orphanage in there. And I was drawn to this one child, an infant who had been abandoned. He had a facial deformity, but I thought he was so beautiful and I didn't fully understand it at the time, but looking back, it awakened something in me about connection and not leaving people behind. But the real catalyst came when I became a mother myself, and that really changed my worldview. It reignited this sense of responsibility that I felt back then when I was 17 and had that encounter. And I started asking myself, what kind of world do I want to leave behind for my children? What kind of world do I want them to live in? And what kind of world do I want to help create? And at the same time, I had been working in the fashion industry and saw firsthand how much waste existed. There are so many beautiful pieces that were never used. So I started really small. I approached all the manufacturers that I knew, and they donated their damaged goods. And I started repairing them with Red Thread. And I started these little pop up events selling those rethreaded items and supporting nonprofits. The first organization that I supported was Operation Smile and helping children with life-saving surgeries to repair cleft lips. And so that was really the beginning, connecting fashion, storytelling, and impact through this idea that everyone and everything is connected.
That is just so amazing. Just thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing. I think that fashion is so much more than just the clothes that we put on our body, as when many of our listeners know. And I think that's something that I'll talk about a lot is embracing the sustainability aspect of these things. I think that learning how to make repairs and then showcasing the repairs, whether it's with thread or yellow thread or green thread, showing that because we all have get holes in our clothes every now and then, and learning how to like just repair something and keep the life cycle of something and then turn it into an art by showcasing that where it was mended is so incredible. And then you mentioned the storytelling aspect of this, and your platform really sits at the intersection of fashion, culture, and storytelling. So, why is storytelling such an important tool when we talk about sustainability?
Storytelling is everything when it comes to sustainability because it's not just an environmental issue, it's an emotional one. And when something carries a story, when you know its journey, the person connected to it, it changes how you see it. And then you value it more, which leads you to keep it longer. So I actually have this lavender robe. It's a little worn and a little stained. And it's got this abstract floral pattern on the sleeve ends. It's got puff sleeves. I love it, but it screams 80s totally. So when I was 8 years old, my mom had to go into the hospital for a major surgery, and we weren't allowed to visit. So my dad snuck us around to the side of the building, and I remember peeking through the window and giving her a kiss through the screen, and she was wearing this robe. So when she was about to donate it, I took it out of the pile. I was like, "Give it to me," because the robe doesn't just represent clothing, it represented to me her story. My mom is one of the toughest people I know. As an immigrant woman, as a mother, she's my role model. So this is symbolic for me of her. And that's something I don't want to throw away. So that's what storytelling does. It transforms something from disposable into something meaningful. And when something is meaningful, we take care of it. And I think that's where sustainability begins.
Yeah, completely. And I think if we took the time to care for our items the way that we once used to, that we can all have great stories like that where these pieces should mean more to us than I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna wear it once and I'm gonna get rid of it. It should
Mhm.
mean like every time someone's, oh, like I like your outfit, I love being able to be like, oh, thanks. I like got it from this random place and then I wore it here. Like it was my mother's and I don't think she necessarily knows that I took it from her, so don't tell her. Like just like fun things like that. And I think we've disconnected the more that fast fashion is around, the more that we're just producing clothes at this insane rate, the less connected we're getting with our pieces. And I think having that storytelling and being able to find that sentimental value in the things that we own and really take pride in the things that we own helps us to keep them longer and care for them, and inherently that is more sustainable.
Yes, definitely.
So what was your personal journey into sustainable fashion? Was there a moment that kind of clicked for you where you were like, oh, sustainability?
My journey didn't start with fashion activism. It started with observation. And I watched this documentary called The True Cost, and it blew me away. One statistic really stayed with me that only a small percentage of the clothing that we donate actually ends up in thrift stores, and the rest often end up in landfills overseas. And for me, seeing those images, like literal mountains of clothing piled up, sometimes in bodies of water, that really shocked me. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier before, I saw it in real life, working in fashion manufacturing in downtown LA. I witnessed how much waste is created behind the scenes. There's there were so many beautiful pieces that never get worn because there has to be a high standard. A small hole is not sellable. So at the same time, I saw nonprofits doing incredible work, constantly needing funding and visibility, and that's my was my click moment. That these two worlds didn't have to be separate. What if we could amplify their stories, and what if we could turn closets into causes? It could create so much more meaning and so much more impact.
Completely. And like you said, storytelling is everything, and especially in sustainability, I think the way we get this message across to people is just so important in how we tell it, and being able to have a normal conversation and just have someone be like, "Hey, I like your outfit," and be like, "It's actually like up for sale and you can buy it and support a great organization," is a great way of appreciating. your closet more and appreciating the things we have. But many people don't realize that fashion can be a tool for philanthropy and activism. So, what are some ways that Red Thread has helped turn personal style into something that supports a lot larger cause?
We can definitely elaborate. Personal style is incredibly powerful. It's a non-verbal communication. Whether we realize it or not, what we wear expresses who we are, what we believe, and where we belong. For centuries, clothing has been used to signal identity and community, from tribes to cultural dress to sports teams. Can you imagine if all athletes wore the same uniform, like the chaos it would be on the football field? You instantly know who's who and who's on your team. So, fashion has always shaped culture, whether we realize it or not. And when you combine that with intention, it can create impact. So when someone buys a piece from a creator or an influencer, they're not just buying clothing, they're participating in a story and a cause. A jacket can become clean water, a dress provides shelter, a bag helps bridge communities. That's what fashion can be. It becomes a bridge connecting creators, communities, nonprofits in a way that feels organic. Yeah.
Completely. And you've worked with many nonprofits and social causes through fashion. So, what's one collaboration or few or project that kind of stands out to you?
One collaboration that really stands out to me is an early one that validated this whole entire idea of creator-led philanthropy, and it was with style influencer Chriselle Lim. At the time, the Nepal earthquakes happened, and entire communities were devastated, like cities were left in rubble. And she came to us and she wanted to use her wardrobe as a way to mobilize her audience to help victims recover from the earthquake. So she donated pieces from her closet and we built an online shop around it. But the incredible thing wasn't the sales, it was the response that we received from the community. They weren't just shopping, they were excited to be part of something meaningful. And I think many of us, we want to be part of something. We want to create positive change, but don't necessarily know how. So that experience taught me that when creators show up authentically for a cause that they care about, their communities want to show up with them.
Completely. And if I or anyone listening or an organization or anything like that wants to do a partnership with Red Thread, what does that look like? How can people get involved?
Our goal is to make it incredibly simple and low lift. So creators would donate pieces from their personal wardrobe, and Red Thread manages everything from pickup, photography, building the online shop, and handling the fulfillment. The proceeds then support a nonprofit that the creator genuinely cares about while they do what they naturally do, engage their community and share the cause behind it. And for nonprofits, it's a different kind of fundraising. Instead of them asking for donations, they're being introduced to new audiences through authentic storytelling. So they get to also focus on what they do best, sharing the impact of their work while we handle the logistics and we handle everything else.
That's amazing. I think that is something that I've noticed is really important for people to get more involved in sustainability and organizing things like this is just like, how can we make it easier for them? Because I think when it comes to sustainability or honestly any new topic that you're just getting into, there's a lot of information out there. There's so many ways to get started. And so taking away some of the challenges and just honing in on, okay, this is a few things that you can do today to get started, I think is so important. So it's
Mhm.
amazing that you guys really support with this. I think with sustainable fashion in general, I think sustainability, sustainable fashion, vegan fashion, all that stuff, these are like buzzwords. And sometimes it can be hard to really figure out what is sustainable, what is ethical. Like, as I said, there's so much information out there. So, what actually makes something meaningfully sustainable in your eyes?
Sustainability isn't just a label, it's a responsibility. It means meeting our needs today without compromising the needs of the future. But for me, it only works that the entire system supports that, from how things are made to how we choose to consume them. So it's not just about asking consumers to be more mindful. I believe it's also about rethinking manufacturing, reducing waste, and designing systems that are built to last. Because sustainability isn't just one decision, it's a system.
Completely. We've talked briefly about how fast fashion is ridiculous nowadays, how things are being produced so quickly. And if we're taking time with Red Thread to really look through our closet, if someone opened the average American closet, what do you think it would reveal about our culture right now? And why should that be concerning?
If you open the average American closet, you'd probably find abundance and disconnection. And what I mean by disconnection, our closets are full, but a lot of times we feel like we have nothing to wear. And that reveals something deeper about our culture. We've been conditioned to consume fashion quickly without necessarily valuing it. And we've shifted from buying things out of necessity and quality to habits driven by instant gratification and disposability. And that really happened at the transition of the Industrial Revolution. And while we can't go back to the era of the past, I don't think the future is about owning more. It's about relating to what we own differently. So reconnecting with meaning, with intention, and why we choose the things that we bring into our lives is really important.
Completely. I think that's something that's been really big for my own personal sustainability journey is like when I first really got into sustainability, I just went to thrift stores and bought stuff because they were like 2.99 at the thrift. And I was like, oh, it's sustainable, so I can purchase it. And lately, I like live at a thrift store. I love going to thrift stores, but I have noticed that I am like so much more strategic with the things that I end up getting. And I'll either often leave with nothing at all, or I'll leave with one thing that I sat there for 10 minutes and I was like, what would I wear this with? Where would I wear it to? Like, how many times am I going to wear it? Is it like just a trend? And is that why I want it? I think that's something too that we really should all be looking at is like the tags and looking up the material composition. Because sometimes I'll see things that are cute and I'm just like, you know what? This is made out of like 100% polyester and I just don't think it's gonna be something that I like enough to keep for a long period of time, or I'm gonna wash it once and it's gonna release a ton of microplastics. And just really thinking and slowing down about the things that we buy is so important. I think every time I like put something in my cart and think it over for a few weeks, like I either end up not buying it or it's gone, in which case
That
then
was meant
I didn't need it. It wasn't meant to be.
to
So I think just slowing down is something that is so important. And like we've been talking about, like bringing value back to the things we own. So if you could completely redesign how people shop for clothes in the future, what would that system look like?
I imagine a future where fashion is more circular and community driven, and we are seeing that already now. I don't think it's about us owning more, it's about how we access and circulate what already exists. So, on one level, I see people investing in capsule wardrobes, like core pieces, pieces that are high quality, expressive, and truly personal, like truly them. And then around that, you have shared systems like community closets or even clothing libraries, like the way we rent books, where people can borrow, exchange, or rent pieces depending on the moment. And there's companies like that, like Rent the Runway, where you can rent a piece for special occasions. So instead of everyone owning everything, we're participating in a shared ecosystem. And beyond how we shop, as I mentioned earlier, I think we also have to rethink how we create. And I'm really inspired. One of the designers and architects I really look up to is Neri Oxman. She's a former MIT professor, and she created this concept, material ecology. And her whole philosophy is exploring what it means to design with nature, not just extract from it. For example, she's worked with silkworms to create silk structures without harming them. Currently, when we want to make a silk garment, we boil these silkworms, but instead of destroying them, she created a man-made structure, but then signaled to the silkworms on how to create intricate patterns. So allowing nature to be part of the design process, to me, that was a glimpse into the future where fashion isn't just less harmful, but actually regenerative and in relationship with nature and community.
Yeah, I think nature and animals and people, they're not the enemy if we can find ways of collaborating. I think it's
Yeah.
very important. So what's next for Red Thread, and what do you hope its role will be in shaping how we shop in the future?
We are building more than a platform, we're building an alliance. Our goal is to bring together creators, nonprofits, and communities in a way that amplifies everyone's impact. So we help creators turn their influence into something meaningful while introducing nonprofits to entirely new audiences through storytelling. Long term, I see Red Thread expanding beyond fashion, partnering across industries with sustainable manufacturers, socially conscious businesses, and creatives to create a more connected ecosystem of impact. Instead of isolated acts of charity, we want to build a coordinated network that strengthens impact, deepens in engagement, and at the core, it's about turning creativity into real change. So the project may vary, but that is the core. And as we grow, we're intentionally aligning with the global efforts like the UN's 2030 Sustainability Development Goals, because I believe this is bigger than just one organization to make change. Everything's interconnected, whether it's environment, social, economical, all of these challenges that we face. I think the solution will come from collaboration. Yeah. So it's about contributing to a global movement. And how do we bring everyone together?
Yeah, completely. I think that's something that, like, I've learned, I think, especially with the storytelling aspect of things, is how do we make people interested in this and kind of meeting them where they're at? Because I honestly feel like sometimes when I bring up those buzzwords, people get turned off by it. And so I think finding that community and meeting people where they're at and having those conversations is so important, because I think some of the things that we do in our day to day are qualified as sustainable and people don't even realize it because it's just what we do. And spreading that more, and again, just meeting people where they're at and getting that community aspect, because I agree. I think in sustainability and in the environment, it's not always the happiest of topics. It can be a little daunting looking at kind of the big picture of the planet. but I think having community and surrounding yourself with people that are also interested in this and also motivated by this, whether it's by talking about and donating our closets or by, carpooling instead of driving by yourself and just things like that, you can feel a little bit better about the state of the world.
Yeah, I feel like just talking about it, it's on people's minds. And the more we talk about it, the more we realize, like you said, like, oh, we are doing things to promote sustainability. And how can we further that? We feed off each other. Yeah, I think that's beautiful.
I think it's just so important to surround yourself with good people. And I feel like that's something that I've just really found, especially working in this aspect of the fashion industry or just the environment, is just what keeps me motivated every time I go to a farmer's market. Like it doesn't even have to be the most like sustainable event in the world, but every time I go to a local farmer's market or even a flea market or anything like that, like I'm just like, that was so nice. I got to speak with people. I got to meet these different vendors. I got to hear about what they're doing. I got to buy some local food or buy some clothes that have already been worn. And it really just motivates me to keep going, keep fighting.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and reading your book, that inspired me to make this like a tradition with my daughter. It's a family culture to go and shop secondhand and go to thrift stores and look for treasures. So yeah, the more conversations that we have, the more inspiration we get. And yeah, that's encouraging.
Oh, completely. I love to hear that. So I always like to end my podcast on what are your top rapid fire tips for someone who is just starting their journey to a more sustainable lifestyle.
If I had one takeaway to give, it would be this one question, actually. Is this worthy of being in my closet? I think that one question changes everything. It shifts how you buy, how you care for things, and how you let them go. And you touched upon that in your personal journey to sustainability. It really moves you from a consumer mindset to an investor mindset. And so when you start thinking that way, you naturally choose things with more intention, more quality, and more purpose.
Completely. Yeah, I agree. I always say before you buy something, ask yourself those questions of when am I going to wear this? What am I going to wear it with? Where am I going to wear it to? Am I buying it because I genuinely like it? Am I buying it because it's on trend? Just sit and think with it for a
Mhm.
second.
Yeah. There's so many pieces that if I just asked that question, is this worthy of being in my closet? I probably would not have purchased. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I just, when I was thrifting, like when I first really started this journey, I was like, I feel like constantly cycling things out of the thrift store and back into the thrift store. And I was like, this is basically just the same thing as a fast fashion shopping habit, but I secondhand sourced it. So I was like, not great. But that's okay because that is part of the journey, and I look back at that as a learning lesson. So where can people find you on social media, anywhere else, and connect?
Yeah, you can find us on our website, redthread.org. That's REDTHRED with there's no A in Red Thread. And also on Instagram, redthread_.org.
Well, everyone, go check them out. You are doing such amazing work, and we thank you for it. That's it for this week's episode of The Lexy Show Fashion That Gives a Damn. Big thanks to Christine for showing us how fashion can be a tool for connection, culture, and real change. Whether it's fashion or everyday products, this is how sustainability should work. If this conversation resonated with you, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Head to LexySilverstein.com for more content on sustainable style and conscious consumption. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Lexy Silverstein. That's Lexy, silver like the color, Stein. Remember to live a good life and look fucking good doing it and demand better from brands in your closet and everywhere else. See you next week.